The more people tell you it's not possible, that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. But the fact is, no one has ever achieved anything significant without a chorus of critics standing on the sidelines explaining why it can't be done. Nothing is easier or more pathetic than being a critic. As long as you have pride in your beliefs, courage in your convictions, and faith in your God, then you will not fail. If you love what you do and dedicate yourself to your work, then you will gain momentum. And look, you have to. You need the word momentum. You will gain that momentum. And each success will create another success. You discover that you can handle anything. There's no better feeling than an achievement that you've earned with your own sweat, tears, resolve, hard work. There's nothing like it. Do you agree with that? I've seen people that are super genius, but they don't have that gut feeling. They don't have that stick-to-itiveness, that never quit. And I've seen people that almost made it and failed because they couldn't go that extra mile. I've seen so many brilliant people. They gave up in life. They were totally brilliant. They were top of their class. They were the best students. Sometimes they go into a business where basically you can't be successful. You know, nobody's successful. If you can get away from that, get away from it, if you can. But you have to make sure that you do something that you love. Try to go into something that you love that can be a good business. So, you know, a lot of people go into businesses that are just not good. When I went to school, two people. One was really smart, the other one was not so smart. The not so smart one went to work for a big oil company. The really smart one went to work for an airline. Well, let me tell you, the not so smart one is a very rich man today and does very well and heads up a company and he makes money. And the guy running the airline it's tough, but he was smarter. He was smarter, he was tougher, he had everything. He even looked better. Not that that matters. He had everything. He failed, and the other guy's a big success. Look, I could give you the stock answer. You got to love what you do, all that stuff. Okay, you know. But one of the answers is, and that I think is very important, is, and especially as an entrepreneur, you have to pick a business that works. Because there are some businesses that are very tough. Now, if you don't like it, cancel that. In life, I always tell this to people, you have to know whether or not you continue to have the momentum. And if you don't have it, that's okay. Because you're going to go on, and you're going to learn, and you're going to do things that are great. But you have to know about the word momentum. But a word pressure is turning out to be more of an important word, and more people are responding to it because a lot of people that I watch have no ability to handle pressure when times are bad. And I could give you so many examples, and they fail. Most people do not have the ability to handle pressure. You have to have the ability to handle pressure. And if you don't, you should get a great job and enjoy your life. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Are you able to sleep at night and get up the next morning and go out and just absolutely destroy the competition? Because if you don't have that ability, it's very hard to be an entrepreneur. You have to have an ability to handle pressure. Because no matter how successful you are, I have many, many friends and enemies, a lot of enemies too, I don't care. And if you can't handle pressure, you have to know that about yourself. You have to know that about yourself. So, handle pressure. If you can't, that's okay. I told you, I've had friends that went bankrupt and they've never been able to come back. You know, they've never been able to, and I never went bankrupt. But I will tell you, I've had tough times like everybody. I don't consider them tough times. I consider it a learning experience. You know, I learned a lot in the early 90s when everyone was going down the tubes. The real estate markets had totally collapsed. You couldn't get 10 cents from the banks.
You had plenty of vultures. You had plenty of bad people circling and some good people that frankly wanted to get paid. But it was hunker down time, as they say in Georgia. And I did do that. And I think one of the reasons I really succeeded, and bigger than even in the 80s, is the fact that it's a little word called perseverance. I didn't stop, and I've had the best business years of my life by far. What I did is I re-put up my guard and re-put up my defenses and my offenses much stronger than I ever did in the 80s, and worked probably harder than I did in the 70s and 80s, and actually became much more successful. I didn't stop, and I did persevere. I went against a lot of odds, and I came up with a phrase, survive till 95. That was in the early 1990s. And it turned out to be right, because the world changed, the economy changed, and there was a survival. Tactic till a certain year. I had faced the possibility of losing everything, and I went back to work. I focused my mental energies, and I survived. And most people didn't survive. I mean, a lot of my friends, a lot of good people and bad people had to go bankrupt, and you never heard from them again, and you probably never will hear from them again.
They went bankrupt and they were gone, never to be seen again. Most of them never to be seen again. And I fought through it. I never went bankrupt.
And I wrote once that I would love to sort of have a bad period financially, just to see who my friends would be and who my enemies would be. There were people that I really helped in business when things were very good in the 1980s and when my company was going good. And they did not lift a finger to help me when I needed it. And there were a couple of them that could have very easily helped me. I just don't believe instinctively in turning the other cheek. If somebody was out to hurt you, if somebody was out to do a number on you, I really believe that you should just do a number on them if you get the chance. I believe strongly in getting even. If somebody has hurt you, if somebody's gone out of their way to hurt you, I think that if you have the opportunity, you should certainly go out of your way to do a number on them. And I've had more criticism about that one statement in my book than any other statement. I wrote it once, and I had that down period, and that down period I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, but I will tell you, I also learned that there are some very good friends out there for me, and there were some people that did not help. When things were tough at the beginning of the 90s for me and everyone else, the problem with me is I was getting all the publicity. I think a lot of the press is very dishonest. I think a lot of the press is really, really dishonest. I used to mind much more. The one thing I have learned, it's a one-week phenomenon. It doesn't matter. At the end of a week, usually at the end of a day, but usually at the end of a week, it's totally gone. You don't even remember the story. Once you get that into your head, you can live with it.
But if you've had a certain success and you want people to know about it, I think it's fine to toot your own horn. Telling people of your achievement, who else is going to talk about it? If you're successful, if this man's successful and nobody knows it, and he wants to show his success, I guess he's got to toot his own horn, and let him do it. It can be done tastefully. It can be done nicely. You want to talk about yourself truthfully. I mean, you have to understand yourself, and you want to speak
truthfully about yourself. And if it's not going to be truthful, what's the purpose of it? I want to have a good life. I want to put people to work. I want to create a lot of jobs, which I do. I create a lot of jobs. I'm a real job creator, tens of thousands of jobs over the years. Look, money is interesting because it's sort of a scorecard. That's all money is. I like to enjoy my life. It certainly makes life a lot easier having that financial success, but I know the most successful people. They live in my buildings, they see me, they come to my office, they talk to me. Some are friends of mine, some are enemies of mine. I know people that are incredibly successful economically, and they're miserable people, they're unhappy about every aspect of their life. I don't really consider them that successful. Money does not buy happiness, and it does not buy lots of other things, but it certainly makes life easier, and it really does create, it lets me create what I want to do artistically, because I'm an artist. In a certain sense, I'm an artist. I build the greatest buildings in the world, and I put up great things, and having money and having the kind of access to money that I have allows me to do what I like to do best. That's truly what it's all about. Success is about enjoyment.